The Coast Guard has many heroes. Some are recognized and many are not. Even those that have been honored are humble, saying they were just doing their jobs. These are their stories. It was a sunny day on the Intracoastal Waterway near Fort Lauderdale. 11 people, including children, are on board a 25-foot pleasure craft which begins taking on water from the wake of another boat that passed them just moments before. The operator of the pleasure craft loses control as the bow begins to sink. The force of the strong current takes over, pushing them into a nearby barge. A 41-footer from Station Fort Lauderdale is nearby and responds to the emergency.
All we saw was the last little part of the boat going underwater and people were underwater. Some of them actually were going under the barge and popping up on the side of the barge. And at that point, Seaman Young said he's going in. And he started taking his gun belt off. And the coxswain, Goodnow, said, wait a minute. And then he assessed the situation for a second and said, okay, go. And at that point, they had to take their belts off, so I didn't have a gun belt on being an auxiliarist. So boom, I was the first one in the water. I saw a little girl, like half her body was underwater. I don't know if she was going under the barge or if she was drifting along the barge. And there's just so many people in the water, so I just went for her because she was screaming and she looked me right in the eye. And she's like screaming, help me. So I'm like, okay. So boom, I went in and grabbed her. Next thing I know, I had her and then we were drifting along the barge in the current and there was like 3 other people grabbed onto me and we just drifted along the barge. And I just stuck my arm out and grabbed onto a piling and just held onto that piling. And then all the people were drifting all over the place. And see, at that point, we had no idea how many people were in the water. So it was just kind of chaotic at that point. And then when we got them calmed down a little bit, then there was another problem going on right next to me. There was the German guy, the older guy, he was hanging on a piling about maybe 8 feet away from me, but his eyes were like out of it. He was like staring, just like in shock. The coxswain Goodnow threw me a heaving line with a ball on the end of it, and I passed it to him, and the ball was actually hitting him in the face, and we were telling him to grab it so we could pull him to the boat. But he wouldn't respond at all. I mean, the ball was actually hitting him right in the face. I was yelling to Matt, I said, Matt, he doesn't look too good. It looks like he's going to lose it. So all of a sudden, he lets go. And I couldn't get him because I had my people. They were like, maybe 3 out of 4 of them were pretty bad shock or whatever. So anyway, he goes under the water. So I yell, Matt, he's going, and Matt saw it at the same time. So he's the coxswain, he's like the last guy in the boat, but he had to go get him. So he dives off the front of the boat, gets the guy out of the water in 2 seconds, held him there, and then a towboat came by. He got him up on a towboat. They gave him CPR, but I don't know, he didn't make it. I think he was basically dead before he got on the boat. So then after that, Seaman Young threw me a line, and they got the little girl off first. They pulled her, and then our rib showed up, our inflatable boat showed up, and they took her to that boat. Then they started peeling the people off.
What was the most terrifying part of the whole thing for you?
Probably thinking I wasn't going to be able to hold on, because the pilings were like maybe a foot in diameter, but they were filled with barnacles, and it was like ripping into my arm. And a couple times the current, with 4 people hanging out to you, kind of got a big load there. And a couple times I thought I was going to let go, and if I let go, then we would have gotten into another barge, some other piling. So I just like, I can't let go, It's like, so I really had to hang on like crazy. And at one point I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but it worked. I got my rear end up against the barge, and then I somehow got my foot on the piling was on like a 45-degree angle. I got my foot on the piling, and then I was in a lot better shape. And then I was able to hold on pretty good. Usually we have a 3-man crew on a 41, but that day I was an extra crew member and Dwight was an extra crew member, which really helped out the situation because 5 of us went in the water to get the 9 people. So that definitely helped. Just coincidental that we had 5 people. It worked out good.
What does it feel like to know that you saved the life of this family?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, it's kind of really hard to comprehend that you really did that, but no, it feels great. I wish, I would hope somebody would do it for my son if he ever in the same situation, It's like right away my father-in-law says, oh, be careful, you got your own family to worry about. And then my mother-in-law said, well, I hope somebody jumps in to save my grandson, So it's something you don't really think about. It's just how to do it, I think anybody that was a strong swimmer would have done the same thing I did, especially under the Coast Guard guys. This situation was like none of us really second-guessed ourselves at all. We just reacted and it turned out good. We made the best out of a bad situation. Like if we had waited another second to decide if we're going to jump in or not, they might have been under the barge or been on the other side of the bridge and we couldn't have got to them. And maybe a couple more would have died. So it was like one of those things that Matt got us over there in I think it was 20 seconds, and we just decided to go. And it was just one of those things that we didn't have any regrets at all. If we did anything different, maybe trying to throw a life ring or put on a swimmer's harness or something, we might have lost a couple of them. So, it was maybe a little more dangerous what we did, but it worked out for the best. Yeah, they gave me the gold life-saving medal for saving that little girl and I guess saving the other 3 people, which was great. But and the other guys got medals too, but I tell you the truth, I felt they should have got the same medal as me. Especially Seaman Young and the coxswain. I mean, everybody did a great job, but I just happened to be the first one in the water and grab the little girl. But it was really a tremendous award. I really appreciate it.
On May 15, 1997, 1 month after the tragedy, Frank Mauro is awarded the Coast Guard's highest civilian life-saving honor, the Gold Life-Saving Medal. It was presented for the extreme and heroic daring he demonstrated during the rescue. The citation notes, his unselfish actions and valiant service, despite imminent personal danger, reflect the highest credit upon himself and are in keeping with the highest traditions of humanitarian service. The Coast Guard Channel salutes Auxiliarist Frank Mauro.